evening. Today our group will be presenting the case of Duli Yang Teramat Mulia Tengku Idris Shah Ibni Sultan Salahuddin Abdul Aziz Shah and Dikim Holding Sdn Berhad. Before we dive deeper, let's get to know what was the fact of the case. The dispute arose from the unauthorized use of royal names in a commercial context. The plaintiff argued that defendant's use of his name has created a false impression of royal patronage or association. Second, it had the potential to mislead the public. And lastly, it has exploited royal status for commercial gain. First of all, let's get to know who were the parties to the suit. First of all, the plaintiff was Tengku Idris Shah Ibni Sultan Salahuddin Abdul Aziz Shah, a member of Selangor royal family, while the defendant, Dikim Holding Sdn Berhad, the one who used Tengku Idris Shah in their company and business without authorization and consent. The dispute was claimed under civil claim regarding the matter of misinterpretation and misuse of royal identity. On 6th of May 1998, Tengku Idris Shah issued a writ of summons and statement of claim at High Court. While on 3rd of July 1998, Dikim Holding Sdn Berhad filed their defense and counterclaim. They argue that their conduct did not fall within the literal wording of the relevant statutory provisions governing royal names and titles. Fast forward to 24th of April 1999, the plaintiff was then appointed as regent of Selangor while his father served as the 11th YDPA.
Continued on 27 July 1999 when the plaintiff solicitor sought advice for the Attorney General. On 30 October 2000, both parties were granted an audience with the Attorney General to discuss the issue of jurisdiction. On 4 November 2000, the defendant argued that the case should be processed in the High Court rather than the Special Court. On 15 November 2000, the Attorney General's chamber directed the same issue be determined by the High Court. Later, on 9 July 2001, the plaintiff filed the claim in the Special Court. Finally, on 30 July 2001, the High Court referred 4 legal questions to the Federal Court.
So for this slide, I will explain what Tengku Idris Shah was actually charged with. First of all, it is important to know that Tengku Idris Shah was not charged with any criminal offence because he was not accused of committing a crime. Instead, he was the plaintiff, which means he was the person who started the legal action. And according to the case report on 6 May 1998, the plaintiff, the Regent of State of Selangor, filed a writ of summons in statement of claim in the High Court against the defendant. So this clearly showed that he was one who's suing, not someone being accused or prosecuted. And there were no criminal charges or offences involved. But however, even though it was not a criminal case, the case raised an important constitutional issue because the court had to decide whether a regent should be considered a ruler under the federal constitution. So this question was important because at that time his father Sultan Salahuddin Abdul Aziz Shah was serving as the YDPA. And the court needed to determine whether a regent performing royal duties had the same legal immunity as a ruler. So there are 2 legal issues that arose in this case. The first one, which is whether the plaintiff, who was appointed regent of Selangor while his father served as YDPA, considered as ruler within Article 181, 182 and also 183 of Federal Constitution. The second one, which is whether the case should be heard in the Special Court instead of High Court.
I'll continue on the court's decision. The Federal Court decided that a regent, pemangku sultan, who carries out the duties and functions of the sultan while the sultan serves as the Yang di-Pertuan Agong should be regarded as a ruler under the Federal Constitution. Therefore, the High Court has no jurisdiction to hear the case. This is because Article 1812 of the Federal Constitution grants immunity to a ruler, which means that a ruler cannot be sued or charged in any civil or criminal proceedings before an ordinary court. Any case involving a ruler must be brought before the Special Court, Mahkamah Raja-Raja. Accordingly, the case was struck out by the court as the plaintiff, duly Yang Teramat Mulia Tengku Idris Shah, had immunity under the Constitution as a ruler.
So basically, this case applied the mischief approach because the court focused on suppressing the misuse of royal names and preventing public confusion rather than relying strictly on the literal meaning of the statutory provision. So the mischief identified by the court was the first one, the misuse of royal names and titles; second one, the public deception; and lastly, the commercial exploitation of royal prestige.